Namaste. Let us start today's class with the meditation. So today is the turn for meditation. So let us do some meditation. Om Pratarsmarami Hriti Samspuradatmatattvam Satchit Sukham Paramahamsa Gatim Turiyam Yat Swapna Jagara Sushuptam Avaiti Nityam Tat Brahma Kalamaham Nacha Bhuta Sangaha. I meditate on a distinction between sanity and insanity. Sanity meaning Brahma, which is sanity. Brahma meaning taking myself to be as I am, rather than taking myself to be something that is not what I am. Insanity, which is called Brahma, or Bhranti, is the opposite of sanity or Brahma. Brahma or insanity means non-reality, confusion, and be subjected to problems. Today, I meditate on the distinction between Brahma and Brahma, sanity and insanity. If I play a role in a play, then if during the play I know who I am, separate from the role, if I am aware of the distinction between who I am who I was before the play began, who I am now when the play is being enacted, and who I will be after the play is over. This is Brahma, sanity. But if I, for whatever reason, forget who I am while I am playing a role, then the role gives me my reality. It defines the reality. This is insanity, Brahma. You may have heard about or seen these big events in Brazil and even in this country, in New Orleans, called Mardi Gras. In this event, people dress up in fancy, outlandish costumes. And drinking alcohol is very common, even encouraged. So in this event, if one is participating quite drunk, dancing, one can forget who one really is. You are so taken in by the event, the play, the role playing. You may be part of a troupe. So in this example, one can visualize that the people forget who they are and are totally immersed in playing a role. In that case, whatever the event is, takes over your identity. It's possible that in addition to the revelry, the fun, the music, there also may be problems. People troubling each other. Possible. So keeping this example in mind, let us look at our lives. Shastra says that you were someone before your life's experiences began. And you continue to be the same person while you are acting out the experiences of this life. And when the experiences of this life are over, you'll continue to be the same person after that. For all of us, the life's experiences are like the drunk people in Mardi Gras. It is supposed to be fun, but not always. It all depends upon the script which is jointly authored by Ishvara and yourself before the life begins. The experiences of life are like a play. A very sophisticated and long play. Where there are numerous costume changes, numerous acts, some costumes do not change much, like the body. You get into a new costume as you grow, but then the same body remains. But in addition to that, you have many other costume changes. Every relationship, every stage in your life, as a single, as a married, being sons and daughters of someone else, having children of your own. These are all costume changes. The one difference between myself playing roles in my life and a reveler in Mardi Gras is, at one time, the person who started participating in the event knew exactly who he or she is. It is possible that one once gets drunk, you may forget who you are in the event. But in my case, as I go through the experiences of life, I never knew who I was. Avidya, not knowing who I am, is anadi, has no beginning. But with that distinction aside, my conduct during my experiences is identical. It all starts with Brahma, insanity. My roles keep changing. I try to depart from the script, which creates problems. I go back to the script. My problems diminish but don't go away. There is a continuous struggle. All is due to the fact I cannot make the distinction between myself and the role that I am playing in my life. It is as though I am totally drunk. This fact is confirmed in the Shastra, which says the effect of Maya is that I am under the influence of some cosmic alcohol, something that prevents me from knowing who I am. So Shastra says, please become undrunk. Give up being under the influence of Maya. Work on it. And once my mind becomes sattvic, away from rajas and tamas, primarily sattva, then I am ready to understand the fact that I was someone before the experiences of life. I am not affected by the experiences of life, and they in fact will end one day. There will be no change in my Swarupa before this life, during this life, and after this life. And that is Satyam Jnanam Anantam. No amount of role playing can affect me. This is Brahma. This is sanity. I meditate upon understanding the distinction between sanity and insanity, between Brahma and Brahma. Once I do, I am free from any sense of limitations brought up by the experiences of life. I am a free person, free to act, free not to act, joyous inside. Even the role may be that of a dukkhi, doesn't bother me. I know who I am. This is the meditation for the distinction between Brahma and Brahma. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaracharya Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bhed Vibhagine Vyomabhatyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Gukarastvandakaro Vai Rukarastvanivartakaha Andhakara Nirodhitvat Gururitya Vidhiyate Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Shanno Mitra Sham Varunaha Shanno Bhavatvaryama Shanna Indro Brihaspatihi Shanno Vishnururukramaha Namo Brahmane Namaste Vayo Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahma Vadishyami Ritam Vadishyami Tanmam Avatu Tadvaktaram Avatu Avatu Mam Avatu Vaktaram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. यश्छन्दसां वृषभो विश्वरूपः छन्दोभ्योऽध्यमृतात् सम्बभूव समेन्द्रो मेधया आस्पृणोतु अमृतस्य देवधारणो भूयासं शरीरं मे विचर्षणं जिह्वा मे मधुमत्तमा कर्णाभ्यां भूरि विश्रुवं ब्रह्मणः कोशोऽसि मेधया पिहितः श्रुतं मे गोपाय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः अहं वृक्षस्य रेरिव कीर्तिः पृष्ठं गिरेरिव ऊर्ध्वपवित्रो वाजिनीव स्वमृतमस्मि द्रविणगुं सवर्चसं सुमेधा अमृतोक्षितः इतीर्थशङ्कोर्वेदानुवचनम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति 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 आप्यायन्तु मम अङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुः श्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्यां मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्तु अनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेयोपनिषत्सु धर्माः ते मयि सन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः वाङ् मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्मयेधि वेदस्य मानि ईस्थः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधितेन अहोरात्रान् सन्दधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः भद्रं नो अपि वातय मनः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येम अक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः यो ब्रह्मानं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तं हदेवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशं मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Okay, so let us resume our teaching of the fourth chapter, the last chapter of the Karika, called the Alata Shanti Prakaranam. And today we will enter into that section of the fourth chapter which is directly talking about the Alata Shanti, and so we will begin that today. So in verse number 46, which says, Evam na jayate chittam evam chittameva dharma ajasmritaha evameva vijanantaha na patanti viparyaye. So just a very quick revision. Gaurapadaji is pointing out that there are two powerful obstacles in gaining Advaita Jnana. Very beautifully pointed out here by Swami Paramarthananda. I'm just going to follow his commentary pretty much word for word. So, this is an interesting thing to see. So, the Vedas are generally classified into three sections. So, you have the Karma Kanda, you have the Upasana Kanda, and then you have the Jnana Kanda. So, here, this sampradaya of Adi Shankara, which is the authentic sampradaya, starting with Sadashiva Samarambham, then Veda Vyasa, and so on, looks upon the Vedas as a single entity. Single entity. It is the Tatparya, the purpose of the Vedas is to deliver the goods to you that you are not a limited person. This is called Advaita Jnana. This is the purpose of the entire Shastra. This is called Tatparya Nishchaya. So the part of the Shravanam, of looking at various texts, starting with Shruti, Smriti, Puranas, Bhagavad Gita, all of them, Brahma Sutras, etc., there is a single Tatparya. It's not as though they are saying different things. They're all saying exactly the same thing in different ways. So this is it. You are the Brahman and you just don't understand it. That's all. This is what you need to do. So this is the Sampradaya. Now, so the three sections of the Vedas are considered by some people who are not understanding the Sampradaya as different methods of reaching the same goal. So Karma Kanda says Dvaita, Upasana Kanda also is Dvaita, and so they say they are different things and they are not connected to each other. We don't subscribe to that view. What we subscribe to, and this is important to understand, this is what is being pointed out by Gaudapadacharya ji, is that it being the same Vastu, which is a complete Vedas as a single Vastu, you have different phases of teaching. So Advaita has some obstacles in understanding, which we will go through in a minute, but I'll summarize in a minute. Nothing new, we've already done so, but I'll summarize it in a minute. But here, our view is, our understanding is, that it's not as though the Karma Kanda and the Jnana Kanda, Upasana Kanda are basically different. It is just that it is meant for me to grow into. So like for example, the language used by a parent to the children is different from the language used by the parents when the children have also grown up. In the beginning, it has to be very gentle and perhaps even simplified, oversimplified, and mechanical, somewhat mechanical. My son or daughter, please do this. And do namaste, do puja in the morning and so on and so forth. But later on you understand why. So the phases are different. The message remains the same, but the Vedas are cognizant of the fact that you have not yet arrived to a point where you're ready for Advaita Vedanta. So this is an important point for us to understand. That there is no real difference between Advaita and Dvaita. It is just that it is the readiness of the adhikari, of the person who is trying to understand it. And the Vedas knows this. And it is like a parent. You cannot teach a 4-year-old about the adult themes of life and so on. You cannot. It will be confusion. So anyway, this is why we we are very sure about it, that the Vedas does not talk about the Advaita Vedanta until one is ready for it. And what are the two main obstacles for being ready for it? Now let's go into that, which is as a summary. So there are two obstacles. One is, you might call it, the first obstacle is buddhi based. I don't like to use the word intellectual because my training with Swami Dayanand, somehow he says that the people think that this is intellect and this is experience. And so he's very shy of using the word intellect. So I'd never forget that. I've been with him for so long. And so I don't use the word intellect in the same ways that Swamiji also never used it. But my conclusion, my buddhi, is the predominant obstacle in the first one, and my emotions. So there's buddhi and manaha. They're both part of the mind, but they can be separated. You see? So for example, you know something very definitely that is part of buddhi. This is my house. It's a definite knowledge. There's no reason for doubt. It's been ascertained this is my house. I am the one who paid the mortgage for it. I am the one who lives there. This is called buddhi. Then the other one is emotion. That my house is not very good. The neighbor's house is something better. This is manaha. This is not a buddhi. This is emotional. And if my emotions are kept under check, I will say it doesn't matter. This is all a value judgment, whose house is better and so on. It doesn't matter. If house is a house. So there's a distinction between buddhi and manaha. So now, according to Gaudapadacharya, there are two obstacles for understanding Advaita Vedanta. One is based on buddhi, the other one is based on emotion. So let's look into that. This is something we've already discussed, but just as a summary. The one based on buddhi is a wrong understanding that things appear to be real. We went through this upalambhat samacharat. This is all based on buddhi. And so the fact is that everything seems to work, therefore it must be real. Everything is an experience to me, and therefore it must be real. This is all part of buddhi. So if one can reason with yourself and say, yeah, that's true. I don't know what else to do. I cannot escape this. You can, but it requires a higher level of buddhi. But anyway, the first obstacle is based on buddhi. Okay? I'm just going to briefly just talk about that. We've already done so. The second obstacle is emotional. And this obstacle has to do with the fact that Advaita Vedanta is a little scary. Why? Because there is some comfort in company. You find that there I have my spouses, my children, my family, my friends. And if I am in trouble, if I'm not feeling well, either mentally or physically, then I have someone to really look after me. There's some comfort in company. And not only that, then as we can discover later on in our life, the company of Ishvara. That you just have a relation, you develop a relationship with Ishvara, which requires a lot of work, but it can be done, where you trust the unseen hand of Ishvara supporting you. There is company. Okay? So either way, there is company. Now comes Vedanta, which says all of the company that you talk about, as we were doing that in meditation, is just a play. There's really no real support to you, and in fact you don't need a support. It's kind of like a crutch. The life's support system, the very company that I seek, is like a crutch. That if I ever fall down, if I ever become unhappy for one reason or the other, I can always talk to a friend and say, I just wanted to talk to you, relieve all those kinds of things. Here in Advaita Vedanta, all those have been falsified, including your spouse is falsified, children are falsified, friends are falsified, everything. There's nothing to support you. You're all alone. Eventually, even Ishvara is falsified. Because Ishvara is also a role. It is not the reality. It is really Brahman, which is you are already. So in summary, what happens is that you go from a dependency on the Jagat to a dependency on Ishvara, God dependency, and finally self-dependency. So this self-dependency, you have to be ready for it. Because if you're not, you're going to be afraid. This is the second obstacle, which is the emotional obstacle. And we have to see this. This is exactly what is going on. So, this being the case, a understanding of what is being talked about and how this is being presented to me is very important. Because I really, just revising the 4th chapter, I think I've only done once, maybe I've done it twice. But I didn't get this clear understanding of the sequence that Gaudapadacharya-ji uses. Amazing. Now I can appreciate it. That first you build the base. And that base was in the beginning that let us see whether there is a beginning of the creation or not. And he proved that there cannot be a beginning. So really speaking, the primary contribution of Gaudapadacharya-ji's Karika is what is called Ajativada. This is the primary contribution. So Ajativada means that this whole set of experiences never really began. And so this is Ajati. It is beginningless. We proved that in the first section. Then in the second section, which we now have concluded with the verse number 46, he applied that theory of Ajativada, if you may, I wouldn't say the theory, but the foundation of the Ajativada, towards applying it to the Jagrat Avastha and Swapna Avastha. This is number 2. Now with verse number 47, he is ready to go to the next step to show us how this is really the truth. Because our minds in all these cases is rebelling. I'm trying to understand the Ajativada, but very difficult to confront the life in front of me that has a beginning, that has some connection. And to say there is no connection. Difficult. And so the Shastra knows it, and all these wise people that write commentaries also know it. that it has to be done again and again in different ways. Because that is the truth. What can we do? It's not as though, okay, you believe it whatever you want to. So now the Alata Shanti section is beginning. And beautiful. If you just review it, you will now see this. So now let us look at the example of the Alata Shanti, which is an example that would put a final touch to the foundation of Ajativada that Gaudapadacharya is presenting. And I think we should appreciate the fact this is why it is a very advanced text. And if we are not ready for it, then all we can do is to at least receive some instruction and think about it later. So as I've mentioned to you before also, pardon me, that Mandukya Upanishad is a very advanced Upanishad. Advanced because this is the crux of the whole thing. The 3 different stages of life and so on, and you are Turiya. This is the crux of it. It's a very succinct, very powerful leftover of all the different thoughts. So this is Mandukya. The Karika goes even further. Really, this is why I'm beginning to see now how high the Karika is being viewed by the Vedantins, because he gives a very clear justification of Ajativada. It's not as though Upanishad doesn't do it, but the Upanishad needs to be presented. The keys of the Upanishad have to be opened by someone, and the Karika does a marvelous job of doing that. And so then this is the final part of, other than the summary of the whole thing, which we will do later on, this section on the Alata Shanti gives a final paint on the premise of Ajativada. So let us now get into that. Okay? So now first we visualize what is Alata Shanti. So Alata here means a torch of a wooden handle. In the old days when there was no electricity, this was the normal thing to do, is to have a wooden stick, and on top of the wooden stick then you have some cloth which has several layers, so that you can then it is soaked in oil, and then the tip is lighted up by fire, and there are different layers so that it can last for a while. It doesn't burn quickly. I don't know, I've not seen one actually, but I can visualize how this must have been done. So the Alata Shanti means a stick with a burning tip. And I think the best way to visualize this is the modern incense stick. And so visualize a incense stick which has been lighted in a dark room. Okay, so this is a visualization. There is an incense stick. You can visualize in Alata the whole burning of the fire, but we don't see that. But the incense stick we are very familiar with, so we can just do the incense stick. And you light the incense stick, and you put that in a dark room when there is no other light. So in this example, the burning tip, the glowing tip of the incense is called Brahman. Okay, in this example. And now if you twirl this incense stick rather rapidly, not slowly, rapidly, it's very similar. Familiar thing is when you are projecting a movie. I don't know how that is done digitally, I don't know, but in the old days when there were different frames, and if you project the frame very slowly, then the film becomes very jerky. But if you do it fast enough, faster than what our eye can visualize, then it becomes like a continuous movement, you see. So here also, if you take this incense stick and you move it rapidly, what you will find is that patterns are developing. You can do it in, I'm sure that we've all done it when we were young. We all has, if we had any younger brothers and sisters, this was an easy way to impress them. You want to see something funny? Come here. They're all saying, okay, what is he going to show me? And then you take this incense stick and you make these patterns, and they say, wow, that is, how'd you do that? So this is the example. So here, the burning tip is Brahman. The darkness in the room is Maya. And the patterns that the burning stick can do if you twirl it and move it fast enough is the experience of the life, Jagat. This is the example. Okay, so I think hopefully this is, I've given you all the paraphernalia, all the ingredients of this whole thing. So this is what is called Alata Shanti Prakaranam, where again the tip itself is Brahman, the darkness surrounding it is Maya, and the movement of Brahman creates an experience of some motion. It creates different patterns. You can do a circle, and if you're fast enough, I recall this, that I used to do an 8. So you have to do one like this, and you can do this, 2 circles all combined together. I recall that one particular pattern that we used to do, or just a straight line. Any number of different ways you can do. But this is what is called the Shanti Prakaranam. Okay, so now let us see what this means. Okay, so what it says is that Brahman as the consciousness, as the basic consciousness, by itself doesn't move. And so the tip of the incense stick, that does not become a pattern. There is a pattern associated with it, but we will see whether it generates the pattern or not. All this will come up into some discussion. This is all relevant. And so one can say that the consciousness itself is there, but it does not generate the pattern of life. So the pattern of life is what creates the experiences of life. And the fundamental experience of life is it divides the experience into the experienced and experiencer. This division takes place. And this is also seen from our example of the dream. So in the dream, your waking state splits up into two. And one part is you, the experiencer of the dream, and the other one is the dream experienced. This is also pointed out in the Bhagavad Gita, in I believe the 13th chapter, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember all these things as well as I should. I'm also getting old. Where Sri Krishna talks about kshetra and kshetragyaha, the knower of the field and the field. So here the field is the experienced and the knower of the field is the experiencer. And it divides it very, very well. So in the dream, you don't feel that, I'm dividing myself into two. You just acquire the status of a dreamer right away. So this is the fact is that the consciousness seems to become many. The consciousness which it's not as though the tip of the Alata Shanti becomes many. It's not as though you now have multiple tips. You see, this is the point to remember. Same tip appears to be many. And so many that it appears to be continuous. So the consciousness remaining the same becomes many. When it becomes many, or rather appears to be many, I have to be careful about the words I used. It doesn't really become many. It appears to be many, and this is the Dvaita experiences of life. Okay? And so in the waking and the dream state, the consciousness is in motion, appears to be in motion. And in deep sleep, it's like in the waking and the dream state, the tip of the consciousness is moving as though. And then in the deep sleep, they all resolve down. It's like having an incense stick that you're tired of twirling around, and now it goes back to just a single tip. There's no pattern. So this is the example. So Swami Paramarthananda, I was just reading the notes that I was looking at a couple of days ago, that for example in the pattern, so the pattern appears to be pretty solid. If you do the twirling of the incense stick quickly, the circle appears to be a real circle. It's not saying, oh, this is if you do it very slowly, then of course there is no circle. But if you do it fast, then it becomes a real circle. So here Swami Paramarthananda makes a very beautiful point. He says, in quantum mechanics, the science of quantum mechanics, the physics says that all objects of the world are not solid, tangible objects, but they are only intangible energy in motion. Quantum mechanics also says this. And in fact, you should know this. So this is a good thing to meditate on, really speaking. When you're looking at a table, this is a solid table. Very, very same solid table. You cannot penetrate, and so on and so forth. Do you know the fact of the matter is there is no such thing as a solid table. Then what? Why is it not a solid table? It is in fact an amazing amount of twirling atoms which have the electrons moving around a proton, and then this forms molecules. And so now if you look at it, I don't know the exact number, 99.99999% of this is space. Really, this is a fact. You can check it with any quantum mechanics textbook. And so really speaking, it is really just a table is a twirling set of atoms. So the quantum mechanics easily it says yes, absolutely true. And really what happens is that a wood piece, which this table is made out of, what it does is, through this twirling of electrons over the protons, creates a magnetic force. Here's the magnetic force. And my finger also is similar. Maybe there are small differences because there are of course other differences because this does not reflect consciousness, whereas my finger does. That's why you can put a hammer on the table and the table doesn't complain, but if you hit a hammer on my finger is going to complain, I'm going to complain. There's some differences, but the finger also has similar thing. It also has, really our body, the whole thing is nothing but twirling electrons. Twirling electrons. 99% space. This is a fact. And so what happens is that the reason that if I put my finger on the table and it doesn't go through, it just repels, is because the two magnetic forces repel each other. It doesn't allow it to go through. This is a fact. So even quantum mechanics also understands this. But now Vedanta goes a step further. Not a question of electrons and protons formulating the... So the idea is that it appears to be solid, just like an Alata Shanti pattern appears to be solid, but it isn't. Similarly, the table appears to be solid, but it isn't. So the quantum mechanics goes up to a certain point in terms of the transferability of matter and energy. So either it's energy or it is matter. We go completely out much further and say this is not only true of a single table and a finger, this is true of the whole creation. The whole creation is nothing but a twirling matter. There is no solidity to it. And this you can overcome by an understanding. And just meditating on it and understanding and so on, you can just see, and it happens automatically. Ishvara has been very kind to give me an example of a sample of this every night, where this whole twirling world just collapses. The twirling world is nothing but patterns like an Alata Shanti. Beautiful. This is very advanced stuff. And so this is what is being pointed out. So there it says, so there is the method called Anvaya Vyatireka. As you know this very well, you should know this, you have been studying in this advanced class for a while. This is called Anvaya Vyatireka. So Anvaya means if this happens, then it will be a state A. If it doesn't happen, it becomes a state B. It proves that the happening depends upon the stage depends upon a happening. So when something happens, it's called Anvaya. When it is withdrawn, then it's called Vyatireka. And so combination of those two confirms the fact that this is true. This pattern is true. So here in verse number 47, which we will now begin. So we will actually, for this section of the Alata Shanti, we will go back into pronouncing. So this is a section which goes from 47 to 52. So we will do some of it today and we'll complete hopefully the next time around. Maybe not, I'm not sure. But let us now pronounce verse number 47 and 48. Just those two for now. Okay, so let's start there. So I will repeat after half a line just for emphasis, even though I cannot hear you, but I assume that the first one you can just hear and the second one you can try to pronounce just to get some idea. Number 47. Riju Vaktradika Bhasam Alataspanditam Yatha. Riju Vakradika Bhasam Alataspanditam Yatha. Grahana Grahaka Bhasam Vijnana Spanditam Tatha. Grahana Grahaka Bhasam Vijnana Spanditam Tatha. So here it says Riju. Riju means straight. Vakra. Vakra means crooked. Ashtavakra. So this so the rishi who's called Ashtavakra had 8 bends in the body. Very funny looking body, and people used to make fun of him, but of course he was a jnani. Vaktratunda for the Ganesha. And so Vaktra means crooked with a bend. So Riju Vaktradika Adika Abhasam. So either as an appearance, Abhasam means an appearance of straight and crooked patterns, curved patterns. Alata Spanditam Tatha is the nature, is the motion of the firebrand. Firebrand also means the stick with the fire on it. It's called firebrand or incense stick. Alata Spanditam. So now Grahana Grahaka Abhasam Vijnana Spanditam Tatha. So now similarly the appearance of the perceiver and the perceived, the experiencer and the experienced, the dreamer and the dreamt, all of that distinction. Kind of like, for example, if you do an 8, so you can do 2 circles like this. And so one circle can be grahaka, the other one is the grahya. Like something like that also. So he says, now the English translation, just as the appearance of straight and curved patterns is the motion of the firebrand, so also the appearance of the perceiver and the perceived is the apparent motion of consciousness. So this is what is called Anvaya. So verse number 47 says that this is how the pattern is created. Okay, this is number 47. So here one Atma seemingly gets divided into the subject and object because of this seeming motion of consciousness in the dream and the waking state. So this is the Anvaya part of the Anvaya Vyatireka, number 47. Let's go to number 48, which is the Vyatireka part of it. Number 48. Aspandamanam alat. Aspandamanam alatam. Yes, that's what I wasn't sure about that. Aspandamanam alatam. Let me recite it. Sorry, I didn't recite it. Aspandamanam alatam anabhasa samam anabhasamajam yatha. Aspandamanam alatam anabhasam ajam yatha. Aspandamanam vikyanam anabhasamajam tatha. Aspandamanam vikyanam anabhasamajam tatha. So, this is the Vyatireka. So, Vyatireka means, so the Anvaya was that, see, when there is a movement, it creates samsara, it creates jagat, creates the experience of the life. When the movement is stopped, like in deep sleep, the samsara also disappears. You see, this is the Anvaya Vyatireka logic. Do you see this? So what it says is that for us to look at a cause of my experiences on life, I have to see what is happening. And what is happening is that it's not as though samsara is there as a reality. See, this is the point. The jagat and the samsara and all the experiences of my life, if they were real, they would never go away, even at night time when I'm asleep. Here's the point. But they go away. So now, to explain this phenomena of how the jagat appears during the day and disappears during the night, this is the phenomena. We are aware of that. You and I, everybody is aware of that. Everyone who was ever born or will be born will be aware of this. We can see this, that it's an amazing. All we say is we dismiss it with saying, I was asleep. I was asleep means what? We should go into the reality of it. That really, it's just an amazing thing. We have talked about it many, many times. That whatever, how serious your problems are, they disappear in the deep sleep. They in fact disappear in the dream also. The dream creates its own problems. But the problems of the waking do not stay during the dream. So this is a fact. This is the phenomena. Now the question is, what explains this phenomena? So that phenomena is explained by the Anvaya Vyatireka. What means that if there is a spandanam of the consciousness, a consciousness which by itself cannot move, but if for some reason there is a phenomena through the Maya Shakti in the darkness of the room of creating some kind of a pattern, then it appears as though there is a pattern is real. And when that pattern stops, the consciousness, the spandaning of the consciousness also stops. That is the Vyatireka, which is given in number 48. So in 48 it says, Yatha aspandamanam alatam, just like the motionless firebrand, anabhasam is free from appearances, ajam, it is birthless. So this is an important thing that we will see in more detail later. This is the ajativada, never born. How can you say it was never born? This we will see. Tatha aspandamanam vijnanam anabhasam ajam. So therefore the motionless consciousness is also free from appearances and is never born. So that's the sentence. I'll just read it. Just as the motionless firebrand is free from appearances and is birthless, so also the motionless consciousness is free from appearances and is birthless. So this is the Vyatireka, number 47 and 48. Okay, so now these are the 47 and 48 provide the background of viewing my life vis-a-vis the Alata Shanti. This is the two fundamental ideas of Anvaya and Vyatireka, how motion occurs and how motion stops. These are captured in these two verses. Then in the next four verses, 49 to 52, which I was just looking at the clock, I think we will do next time. We will not do that because I won't have much time to finish this today. Now the implications of this phenomena will be explored. And implications are many and very beautiful that we will explore, which will be cause and effect, starting or not starting, birth, and this has a direct parallel to our life. And so those are very beautifully captured by Gaudapadacharya in verse number 49 to 52. So that we will do, I think, next time. We'll not begin on that until next time. So with that, I close the class, and perhaps we will give it time for questions. So let's finish with a prayer, and then we will go on to any questions that you may have. Om Swasti Prajabhyah Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha Go Brahmanebhya Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samastha Sukhino Bhavantu Kale Varshatu Parjanyaha Prithvi Sasya Shalini Desho Yam Kshobharahitaha Brahmana Santu Nirbhayaha Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Satkamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Alright, let me fire up my laptop to see if there's any questions that you have. Questions? So, question from Kirsten in Italy. First of all, just to let others know, she is really attending many of the classes, and from her questions and so on, I think she's pretty well informed. I really found a student worth really teaching. I'm really happy with that. Kirsten, thank you. So your question is, why is the darkness Maya? So here, the Maya Shakti is compared to darkness because it obstructs the reality about myself, even though the reality doesn't change, but it can not be perceived. Just like darkness, for example, you are supposing somebody was sitting on a chair in a room in your house, and it was dark, and you wake up in the middle of the night, and you cannot see the chair. Even though the chair is there, you are also capable of seeing everything is okay, but you just did not, it was hiding. So the Maya Shakti has the same effect, that I should be able to see that I am a free person. But what obstructs that is due to the power of the Maya Shakti. And so this is an important thing, that really speaking, in fact, one can visualize that the entire creation is nothing but through the power of ignorance. Very beautiful thing to see, because the creation itself is very joyful. I am my sense, my swarupa, my reality is joyful. But there is a veil to it, as though, and the veil is removable. See, this is part of the creation that I really just enjoy very much. You see that if my nature was that of a troubled person, and I had to acquire things to remove my trouble, that would be one kind of creation. This is the praptasya prapti and natu apraptasya prapti. But the praptasya prapti means, look at the creation of Ishvara, that your nature is joy, but for the time being you don't see it. That's it. Now, there are a lot of questions. Why was this created? Why did we have to go through all these problems? Okay, so let me just tell you something. I was thinking about it the other day. Your deep sleep state has no problems. Not the swapna, but the deep sleep. Sushupti avastha has no problems. Would you rather have the whole creation be like deep sleep when nothing is happening? It's all complete darkness. You also don't have any problems. No one else has any problems. The whole world is, in fact, this happens for a while in pralaya, but that's only temporary, just like even in deep sleep it is temporary. But suppose the whole creation was not there, it would be like deep sleep. Hey, where is the creation? There has to be some play going on. And the nature of the play is that the nature of the play can be one way where your swarupa, your own nature, has problems, and you have to acquire other things to decrease your problems. This is much better. That really speaking, your nature is joy, but for the time being, the appearance of your nature is hidden from you. Beautiful. And that's done by the Maya Shakti. So, question from Kalyan Raman. In reading today's chapter to mean that Brahman is moving, but several texts talk of it in stationary. So, is it the mind that is the rapid motion and dispersing the light of Brahman? Yes. Yeah, the Brahman doesn't move. It cannot move. It cannot move because it's like space cannot move. Why can't the space move? Hey, where is it going to go? It was already there. It is already full. So Brahman is even more real than the space. At least the space disappears during deep sleep. Space is also a concept, but it is the closest thing to Brahman. But Brahman doesn't is never going to be away. It cannot move. So really speaking, it is just the Maya Shakti that through the apparent movement of the mind, it appears as though this is happening. So we're going to go into this in verse number 47 to 49 to 52 in more detail. Kalyan again is like a movie roll in front of a light and projecting an image which the observer seems as protagonist and other actors. Yeah, pretty much like that. Yeah, the life's experience is a very sophisticated movie. That's really all it is. It is a very, very real-looking movie. And just like, there are all these things are logically discussed about the Advaita Vedanta and so on. So there is a school of thought that this world cannot be unreal because the unreal things don't create problems for you. And we say, yes, it can. In fact, you can go to a movie. When you go into the movie, you're eating popcorn and you know that this is just a movie. But the movie is done so well that it can bring tears to you, can bring laughter to you. And so a well-done movie, even though it is unreal, looks as though it is real. This is how the situation is in life also. Yeah. Okay. I don't know, I was thinking that one of these days, it's hard to do in this medium, but it may be good to have some time devoted to your questions and satsang. So I don't know, one possibility is that we devote a complete session on answering your questions, and you can actually send them to me ahead of time so that I know what the questions are and I can answer it. Perhaps we can do so. But I think as this course comes to an end after the Alata Shanti, and then we still have another 40-50 more verses to go, but won't take that long. Then after going through those verses, as we have promised, we're going to go back, quick revision of the Mandukya Upanishad itself, and make a revision of it, not a word for word, but just as a conceptual revision, and then we'll be done with it. So sometime in the next 2-3 months, maybe we should have a session where we just ask. What I could do is to make it optional. We can have a session on just question answers, satsang. And if you don't have it, then I have some material ready to teach. So we are not just sitting there twirling our thumbs. So something like that. Okay, great. If that's it, then I take leave of you and we will see you next week. Om.